Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Real Estate Chat with Faeine and Sat show. Welcome.
We are getting warmed up to this thing and we are kind of enjoying it, having lots of fun recording these topics for you guys. And we sincerely hope that you enjoy them as much as we enjoy doing them. But more importantly, we sincerely hope that you get some great value and information out of these relaxed chats. And you get to see Faye Grant. Not many people get to see her live in action like this.
Well, no, you know what? And I guess the life of a busy realtor and, you add some kids into the mix. It's sometimes hard to get face to face with people. So yeah, no, it's really
Yeah.
great to be here. Thank you.
Isn't that interesting, Finn? So many times we meet clients, they say, you don't understand our life. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We're just like you, running
absolutely.
families, running life. Our kids still get sick. Yeah, we get those calls from teachers as well that kids are not attending all the classes.
There's
But
that too. Yes. Oh
that,
yeah, my older son, he's homesick today, so he's upstairs and yeah, that's just the show goes on, right?
and you still choose to do this.
Yeah.
Your priorities are so wrong. You above your family.
Well, sometimes it's a balance for sure, right? I know. That's kind of what I signed on for when I got my real estate license 14 years ago. Today's topic, though, I feel as though this is a topic that a lot of buyers ask about, and not just first-time home buyers, but purchasers if they're upsizing or if they're downsizing, or even if they're purchasing an investment property, or even between family members. Sometimes they're buying brand new construction. And property transfer tax, there's so many in what am I saying here? Intricacies and qualifications as well as exemptions. So yeah, we thought it would be really valuable for our clients to do a little video on this,
Absolutely.
shed some light.
Absolutely. One disclosure we always like to put in all the information we're going to provide you here is obviously of what we know, but as you know, our information does not replace your professional independent legal advice from an accountant or a professional or your lawyer who would be helping you close this property. You should always double check everything you hear from us with them, just as a safeguard.
Wonderful disclaimer, Sat. Thank you so much for that. All right. So the basic property transfer tax. So just the nuts and bolts of it is 1%. How you calculate it is 1% of the first $200,000 of the property's fair market value, 2% on the remaining up until you hit the 2 million mark, 3% on the portion between 2 million and 3 million,
Right.
and 5% on the portion above $3 million. So
Right.
I know that's going into a lot of numbers there that get quite high. So if we're going to put an example into consideration here, take a property at 800,000, for example. So we do the 1% on the first 200,000, which is $2,000. And then we get 2% on the remaining portion of the 800 above $200,000. And so that's 12,000. So your
Right.
total property transfer tax on a purchase of 800,000 is $14,000.
Right.
I know, right? That's like, welcome to BC, I say, because this is only applicable in BC. So
Yeah. They may as well. I think BC is changing their name to TC. That's
to
tax country.
Oh, tax. Well, and that's true, I mean, we definitely are one of the more expensive provinces to live in. And yeah, every time somebody purchases an ownership of a property, so every time title changes, the property transfer tax is applicable to anyone on the buyer's side.
Correct. And also, just so you know, I know Finn said lots of numbers there. She's smart. She can say this. Most of you are just like me who have to probably simplify things. About 97% of us probably would be buying properties under $2 million. There is very select buyer who buys over $2 million. I'd probably be willing to bet, at least in my career, maybe somebody selling luxury real estate is different. But for most everyday families that we get to serve, most purchases that I've seen are under 2 million. So the 3 million and 3% and 5%, you can almost forget. If you're not going over 2 million, you only need to worry about 1 and 2%. So it simplifies it for you.
Absolutely. And that's a really great point because, yeah, I mean, of course, being here in the Fraser Valley, I would say, yeah, most properties are definitely under 2 million. And a very popular price point for single family detached homes is anywhere between about, 800 to 1.2. So in and around the $1 million price point is a very very popular one. And I always in my mind, I always think of it as like one half, like one over two, 1% of the first 200,000, 2% of the balance.
Right. That's a great way to remember it. Look at that. I told you guys, Faeine is smart.
You know what, just ways to remember things. Also, I should mention is that if you Google property transfer tax calculator, there are tons of online calculators that will do it for you. Spagnuolo and company do a really good one. We'll link it in the comments below, but yeah, I always find that it's easiest to plug into the calculator.
Exactly. And BCREA website, which is British Columbia Real Estate Association, they have a calculator there for public use as well that can convert your taxes as well as convert some other numbers for you if you needed to in there. Okay. So let's
Amazing. Yeah,
let's
we'll
how
link
about
that
we
as
talk
well.
about some exemptions? Aren't there some exemptions there, Payne? I think some people don't have to pay those that special group.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and this is what's really important is because it's not applicable to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few exemptions, so I'll let you speak to that.
Absolutely. So that special group we call and don't hate them, guys. They are the first time home buyers. They might be, we have to say it the right way of saying it with proper legal language. They might be eligible for a full or partial exemption from PTT if they meet certain criteria. And that criteria would be A, they have to be Canadian citizen or at least a permanent resident. They never have owned a principal residence, and this is an important one, in the world. So if you own a place anywhere else in the world, just not in Canada, you may not be eligible for that. So make sure you check on that. And then you have to be living in that property. Like you can't be the first time home buyer who's living with mom and dad and then buying investment property. That would not work. But if you're living in that property, then you can. There is a partial exemption that may be available on that for you as well. Okay. Now, Fain, I think you did some research on the newly built home, and I think some people who are buying these newly built homes, I think there are some exemptions there too, aren't there?
There absolutely is. Now, before I get into there, though, just speaking on the property value limit of 500,000,
Yeah.
an interesting concept is
Okay.
that when I first started selling real estate 14 years ago, that threshold of 500,000 was still 500,000. So
Mm.
even though in the past 14 years property values have gone up dramatically, 500,000 really gets you what, a condo here in the
Mhm.
lower mainland, if that. So it's interesting that with the rest of, just inflation and property prices and whatnot.
Yeah.
So anyways, just something to note. So yeah, typically, 500,000 is most likely for a condo because really we don't see any single family detached homes for 500,000 or less unless it is a manufactured home. And yes, you're absolutely right. So, newly built homes, yes. So, there's been some really great changes to promote new construction and to promote building here in BC. And so, what the government's done is they have offered an exemption for any newly built home that is under $750,000.
Okay.
So, if you're purchasing something and you've owned tons of properties in the past before, and you're buying yourself a condo or a townhouse or a single family detached that's
Mhm.
under 750,000, you don't need to pay property transfer tax. Woohoo! That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. We
However,
actually we actually find some good condominium, like Westerly as an example is one of the market that we literally, Finn and I, almost feel like we own it because we are there almost every week doing something, buying,
yeah,
selling, showing clients. And when that development was developed, those homes were starting around 250 to about 500,000 is on the high end I've seen. They've gone up in value since then.
yep,
But there are some other developments that happening similar to Westerly in terms of the style and all that. Not as many amenities, but around town where those brand new homes are still under that 750 threshold if you qualify for one.
absolutely, absolutely. I just wrote on one of the new developments that's in central Abbotsford, and it
Right.
was two-bedroom, two-bathroom condo on the top floor, 675.
Yeah.
So my clients, they got to take advantage of the property transfer tax exemption. Now, the only caveat to that, though, of course, is that it has to be your primary place of residence. So if you're
Right.
purchasing it for the purpose of renting it out, or you don't end up residing there yourself,
Right.
then the property transfer tax is applicable. So the idea behind that is, like, if you think about, the reasons why it's for principal residents or not, the government basically wants to promote, buyers to be able to buy their first time property and to be able to cover the expenses for their own personal shelter. Now,
Mhm.
of course, people that are, considered more financially, well off, I guess you could say, where they're purchasing second and third properties, that's where they do expect the tax to come back into the province if you're
Right.
going to be purchasing higher than that. So,
Right.
anyways,
And before we move
yeah,
on, one other important point to remember on that, that for the first for these new built home exemption, you do not have to be the first time home buyer for that. Just
that's
FYI.
right. Yeah.
Right? Right, Finn?
Absolutely. You could be purchasing, you could have, have bought and sold 10 times.
Yeah.
And if you're buying it under 750,000 and you're going to be residing there yourself, yeah, you're eligible. Obviously, like Sat said, double check the government website and see what the most recent rules are. But,
Right.
if you fall into this category, it's definitely worth looking into to see if you do qualify.
Right. And I think the most favorite part people are gonna like about this video is when we are counting exemption. Those who are coming to those exemption groups, they're probably gonna love us. Of them,
Absolutely.
we might be the barriers of the bad news in a way. We are just the messengers, guys, just the
Yeah,
messengers.
we
But
have to be the
here's
bad news bears sometimes. Yes.
right. Now, here is another group that can be exempt from paying that PTT. That is the certain transfers that happen between families. So, such as there is a transfer happening between spouses. Okay, you're married or whatever spouse level is in Canada. I always get confused with that. There is a common law and then there is married. Finn,
Yes.
does live-in arrangement count as spouse as well in Canada or not?
Depending on how long you've lived together, then yes, it automatically does.
Okay,
I think it's a very short period of time. If I remember correctly, 6 months or longer, you're considered
a spouse.
common law. Yeah.
Here's the right way to say it. If you qualify as a spouse,
Yes.
you may qualify to be exempt from the property purchase tax as long as it's coming from your other spouse, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are recreational properties between family members, which I actually did not know before doing this video,
I was gonna say
that
same
the
here.
transfer
Yeah.
of recreational properties between families are also exempt, and then transfer to a joint tenancy of the spouse or a family member. So joint tenancy, again, you should probably talk to your mortgage broker, actually to your lawyer, probably would be the right person who does your paperwork. There are a couple different type of agreements that you can do on your title. There is a joint tenancy. There is another one. I'm forgetting the name of it right now.
Tenants in common.
Yeah, common tenancy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so common tenancy, something like that. So they can explain to you more. But if you are a joint tenancy and it's transferring with a spouse or a family member, then you are still exempt from the PTT as well.
Yeah. And also, so to put this into real life perspective, usually, say somebody's getting, a couple is getting divorced and one person buys the other person out,
Yeah.
and they sort of repurchase under their full, just under their name, no property transfer tax is required.
And
They're changing all the time, aren't they?
yeah, they do. That's the thing. Even us as professionals, like if we don't look at some of this information for 3 months, I hesitate saying anything to clients if I haven't checked it out in last 3 months.
Yeah.
The chances are it probably is changed or something little is changed there. So just always this, by the time you might reach to this video, this might be 6 months old, maybe 7 months old. I'm
Yep.
sure a good 70-80% of it will still be there as a framework, but it's always a good idea again to double check your resources and all that. Okay. Pardon me?
We're here to help as well. So if you see this video and you're like, what's the update on this particular topic? Just reach out to
Exactly.
us and we're happy to give you the latest on any updates that come from them.
Absolutely. And they'll give us another topic to do, which are we really need them. Thank God for Faeine. And
Now,
okay, so
one
there is one more
question.
thing I want to talk about before we end this
Oh,
video chat. Faeine, as you know, that I also work on the mortgage side of things.
yes.
So one question I often get asked, hey, this tax that I'm paying, if you're paying that tax, can I transfer it into my mortgage? And the answer is no. So what that tax is going to fall under is something called your closing cost. So when you do your mortgage, bank would want to confirm that you have your closing cost and your down payments, etc., sitting in your bank account ready to go if they give you an approval. So your mortgage broker probably will ask for a bank statement kind of showing that so that they can kind of send it to the bank who's lending you money. But basically that PTT is your responsibility. It goes in part of your closing costs. So when you hear somebody making this kind of loose end type of remark like all you have to worry about monthly payment, not so. At the time of closing, there are certain costs, like your lawyer fee, PTT is another one. If you're doing inspection, bank may need you to do an appraisal that you would be paying. So there are certain other expenses that come into that. And again, like Fain said, before you pull the trigger, give us a call. One of the things we love to do, and I can speak for Fain on this as well, because I've worked with her so closely on so many deals. We love sitting down with people and giving them what I call is a roadmap. Okay, here's you starting, here you want to end up, and these are the sort of like the point and expenses in between, just so everything is transparent to you, you're fully clear, you're fully knowing what you're doing. And what I find is whenever we sit down for this road mapping session, I'd say good about 30-40% of the time, Finn, people will go, well, I never thought about this. I never thought of this. I guess I'm not fully ready yet.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they take about a month or so to get ready for that before they come into the market.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yep.
better to do it that way. Then you jump into the market, you buy a house, and now you're finding that you need all these expenses along the way, and you can't come up with that. That could be a recipe of a stressful experience there. So whether
Yeah.
you're ready to buy or not yet, if you're even remotely thinking, a smart thing to do would be give Fain or myself a call and let's sit down and let's go through that road mapping session with you.
Absolutely. And this is for first time buyers, or if you're looking to upsize. So if you're going to sell and buy both at the same time, this applies to that scenario as well too. You still have to talk to your mortgage broker before we even start the process.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And if you want to, can I do a shameless plug here, Fain?
absolutely.
And if you want a really good mortgage broker, I can't suggest you the name, but SAT are the initials.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, well thanks so much everybody for tuning in and being with us on this conversation, and look forward to the next one. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for being in our lives, guys. We appreciate having you here. You really tremendously add lots of value. You know, one of the greatest feeling that we can both testify to is when we get that call from the client saying, thank you for helping me through this.
Yep.
Whether they bought the property or not, even if it was just to answer some questions and give them some ideas so that they can start thinking in the right direction. Just receiving that call, kind of saying somehow we have added value to you is one of the highlights of our day. And if that would not happen unless you allow us an opportunity to do so. So thank you for that.
It's
That's what keeps us going. So, and money helps too, but that keeps us going.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.
See you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.